Hi, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Ultras 11. I'm Joe.
And I'm Alex.
And before we get started on everything, I just want to tell you my random fact of the day, as usual. Did you know that the Eiffel Tower actually gets smaller in the winter? Kind of just like League One with the coefficients right now. Sorry, guys.
Buck is shrinking.
You're out of the top 5. Now I think you're 7th or something like that. But
it was fun while it lasted.
But before we get started on that, I just want to say thank you guys for your continued support, continued engagement, everything like that. We always look forward to hearing from you guys in the comments, even though some of them always telling us we have zero ball knowledge. Like I kind of enjoy it now. At first I hated it. Now it's like,
except when it's attacking him.
Yeah, whatever. If you aren't already, please subscribe to us on YouTube. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review on Spotify, Apple Podcast, everything like that, just so you could see us more often, and we'll start to pop up on everybody's feed and not just your feed.
You get to see our sexy faces a little bit more often.
You just see us on the homepage. That's kind of sick because we're like home.
Yeah,
it sounds really weird and uncomfortable. But without further ado, let's get started on this whole episode. I want to talk to you and everybody, I guess technically, about something I feel like we all been begging for recently. An update on these shitty rules that haven't changed for God knows how long. Even like a casual supporter doesn't even quite understand how it makes any sense.
And just some clarity on the rules itself, because half the time, it's called or it's not called, and it's just always so wishy-washy.
Yeah. So we finally now have something coming up. There's going to be a new offside rule. It's getting a little bit of an overhaul. Thank you, Mr. Arsene Wenger.
Thank God.
It's set to debut in the Swedish league, the Eredivisie, Serie A, which I don't know why Serie A is deemed a test run thing, but hey, whatever. I'm okay with it. I will not complain.
I won't complain with that.
This actually wasn't even led by the introduction of VAR, has anything to do with VAR. It's just actually a solution they conjured up to make football more offensive, and they think of more offensive football means more entertaining football. Kind of hard to disagree with that, but the offside rule it's changed only twice.
Yeah.
In its whole time that it's been around, which is kind of actually like whack.
I know that we're seeing history right now.
Yeah, literally. So the new rule states that there is no offside if the striker is in an offside position, but a part of the body of which you could score a goal is in line with the defense. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was gonna say I had to read it 3 or 4 times.
If my whole thing's on, but my arms in the offside position, then
so now it's physically just the placement of your feet. If your feet are offside type of thing, because you could score a goal with your feet, can't score your goal with your hands or your chest or whatever. Well, you could, but whatever. Anyways, if your feet are offside, then it's offside. So your whole body almost has to be offside now. Now, Al, this is obviously something that's really big, something huge.
Massive.
Because we've been talking about this now that VAR is included in football every day. This is something that one of the first things they should have actually looked at to change.
Yeah.
Do you think this actually is going to benefit offensive football?
100%. And because a lot of sports, they're trying to change rules and just kind of, figure out better ways to make the sport more entertaining. And what's going to make it more entertaining is more goals. And that's why they finally stepped in. And they went the full route, full body called like that. I love it. I like that. I'm happy about the change because they could have done some bullshit like half the body or whatever. Yeah. But you've seen so many times, and I'm just going to use you for an example because I watch every fucking game, and what better team to use as an example? Because I feel, especially this year, there were so many games that Juve had dropped points. Just because of that simple fact that the guy's toe was offside or his nose was offside or something stupid like that, very minimal, and they got called for it on VAR. I get it, okay, that's VAR doing their job, but that's not I'm not in a position where I'm that far away from you where it should be called an offside. Yeah. Now having this rule that it has to be your whole body, you're going to see scoring records being broken, especially League Ones, that Higuain one. That's probably going to be that's going to be overtaken in the next 3-4 years. I say easily. And I feel like it's just going to be easier to watch because there's not going to be so much more oh my God, was his toe offside? It's going to you'll know before they even go to VAR. They will go to VAR to check, but it's going to be a lot easier to watch. And I feel like it's going to be a lot more entertaining with having that kind of rule. Like, dude, Inzaghi would have had messy kind of goals if this was a thing.
It's true, actually.
Like,
it's true.
You have to understand, man. Like, this is going to be massive. Like, I don't think people understand how big of a impact this is going to have. Like, this is probably the biggest rule that you could change in soccer.
Well, for me, it's just huge because you look at a lot of these strikers that play like right on the shoulder of defenders, right? Like Osimhen, for example. He plays right on the shoulder, and he has that speed that nobody's catching.
Yeah.
But how many times was he caught offside this year? And it was just like his shoulder was offside, his chest, like, it's the smallest of margins.
Yeah.
So taking his 26 goals that he scored, now I'm not going to say double that or whatever, but you could probably add easily another, I'd say 10 goals, given all these offsides and stuff like that.
Everything that he was called on.
Yeah. They're changing it all up. And thank God it's actually getting an overhaul, because I mean, I won't lie, it has saved my team a lot of times, and I'm sure it's saved multiple teams many times.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more of a disaster than anything else. You know what I mean? Like, you see something like that, it's like, how the fuck is this guy supposed to score when his arm's just offside?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why are you actually calling that offside?
Oh, I know.
Or he's jumping for a header, and by accident his left leg flails in the air. Like, no, that it makes no difference. So in saying all of that, their goal is clearly to make football more entertaining, so like the average viewer will like it, right?
Yeah. And hopefully, like, it was for that. I mean, obviously, I know majority was that because that's going to bring in more revenue.
Mm-hmm.
But I hope too it was just to kind of clear up like just the bullshit that's been going on the last couple of years, especially like since VAR came in, because they got so like literal with offside that like your shoelace couldn't be offside. That it just became annoying, and it would just so many times I want to just jump into my TV and just break it for how stupid a call was. And sometimes it wasn't even I wasn't even watching my teams. I was like, man, how stupid are these refs?
Yeah.
Like, it was, and thank God, man.
Do you think you're going to see some sort of shift, though? Because, like, there are teams, obviously, like, I'm trying to think of an Italian team that plays with a high line, but Italian teams usually sit back. That's, like, been their thing, whatever. So I don't know if it'll affect them too much. But a team like City or, like, a team like Liverpool, like, stuff like that, that they have that very high press and stuff like that. Do you see this kind of negatively impacting them? Because, like, now if that offside rule is changing, that high line, like, do you think now they're going to
think like they're not really like they can't be playing that offside trap?
Yeah,
that's gonna change a lot of tactics, man. Especially once it goes through Europe into all the leagues and everything. Like, I don't think a lot of it is the right move. A lot of teams are gonna like it, but I think a lot of teams are also not gonna like it because again they're gonna have to like City being one of the teams, because you see how high they play and how much they rely on like they play that offside trap.
Mm.
Like they're gonna have to kind of change their whole thing defensively, and they might not like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like teams like that, and especially I feel like a lot of like the Premier League teams are just very like they're very attacking teams.
Yeah.
And defensively, like their defenders are more attackers than defenders.
Yeah.
They're always pushing up. They're always playing high. So I don't think a lot of those teams are going to like these changes being made now with the refs.
Yeah, I see a lot of like the whole defensive strategy now kind of changing. And a lot of these teams that would kind of go for like a traditional defender, like a big burly kind of guy, good in the air, whatever. Now they'll change to more of like a mobile center back.
Yeah.
Guys like Lisandro Martinez, he'll do well because he's mobile enough. Like whatever, Van Dijk, mobile, Tomori, like whatever, these guys, they'll be good because they have the speed that they can make it up for, right? But you'll start to see like that slower defender, almost like how Italy has survived with these slow big guys. You'll see that. I feel like that's going to be the biggest hit.
Yeah.
You're going to see them like not be able to keep up with the play. They'll have to like change their whole formula about defending and stuff like that. Either play an extremely deep line or, just kind of invest in these more mobile center backs. And honestly, I do think it makes for more entertaining football.
It does. But you see like these kind of like those kind of changes, like especially when the rules change and just the game always ends like changes and it just progresses through time. And it's like for example, like the NBA, like you saw before how big, every team always were trying to go for like the biggest guy, the tallest guy as their center, and just like I couldn't shoot a ball like Shaq, for example, but would just dominate.
Yeah.
Fast forward to like nowadays, now it's kind of not, I don't want to say coming back, but it's become such a shooting game that the whole team now has to be able to shoot. So the big men, they're not even going for that.
Yeah.
Like they're not even going for those big men. And that if you're a big man, you're not making it unless you know how to shoot.
Yeah.
And it's like in soccer now. I feel like a lot of these defenders too, like you were saying, like these slower ones, they're gonna have to kind of, figure out something else in their game that will separate them from the next guy because they don't have that speed. So, they might have to be, an excellent passer from the back, like a Bonucci, for example, who's not fast at all, but made it this far because he had Chiellini covering his back and he was an amazing passer.
Yeah.
So I like it's going to change it in a lot of ways that like we don't even know yet. But man, I fucking love it. I fucking love it.
I was gonna say
I can't wait for
my next question for you was actually overall, do you like this whole change and shift? I absolutely
love this change. I mean, that's probably you're probably gonna hear me complaining on some episode in the future about it because we got fucked. But I mean, at the end of the day, like I like the rule because now there's clarity. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's, if his arm, if they're going to call it like his hand is still behind the guy, but he's fully offside and they call that, at the end of the day, okay, I get that because his hand can't score with it.
Yeah.
It's not keeping him onside. It's an offside position. I get that. I'll be okay. I'll probably be pissed, but I'll be okay with it. At least now there's that. Before when there wasn't, it was too much. Like, dude, I couldn't even watch games anymore because I couldn't even celebrate goals because of VAR.
Yeah.
Never mind when it was just, something, if I'm like, fuck, something happened. It was like, oh my God, are we offside? I think he was, he was a little bit ahead there. Then they show him and he was just made it or he was just off. Like, none of that's going to like matter anymore. Now you can actually like properly celebrate a goal, know that like, okay, yeah, I know he was good. He was offside. He wasn't offside. There's a lot more clarity, I feel like, to the game.
Adding to your whole idea that there's a lot more clarity, another thing that actually is one of our topics today, VAR, Serie A also agreed this past week in actually explaining the VAR decisions. So the FIGC and DAZN came upon an agreement to actually give the fans the transparency when they go to VAR. So like now they'll actually say out loud why they made said decision.
And announce it.
Like almost
like we've been saying.
Yeah, like how in football, penalty on this guy, holding, whatever. They'll explain like now they're taking that American route, which is honestly the right route because
we've literally been saying they need to be announcing it. They need to be saying what happened on that play so everybody knows. Not just they show it on the screen. Sometimes they don't. They say no goal and they just continue to play. They don't even show you. And then happened.
It leaves you speculating. B, you go on Twitter, you see all these pundits come out of nowhere say this.
You see pictures from different angles.
Yeah, the commentator comes out and says something. Blah blah. Then in 3 days, you see, the VAR decision was actually maybe wrong. Now, at least, like, it's adding to, like, the whole clarity. Like, they're actually going to say what it is, what the problem is.
Yeah.
The Prem launched one of something like this. It was like a one-off television pilot type of thing where it was actually like an in-depth thing. They gathered all the recordings from the VAR conversations and actually, like, aired it onto, like, a TV show, one of the Prem's private channels or whatever. And it brought in great reviews because like it even though you might disagree with what is being called, it is still nice to know.
Exactly.
It's nice to know like, oh, you're calling it because there was a handball here.
Yeah.
Not because of this foul or whatever it was.
Like, you disagree with him, but at least you hear from him what the decision was on that call.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's they should have went this route from the beginning, from when VAR came in.
Yeah. Now, do you actually think though? Because like this is supposed to help the fans out.
Yeah.
Fans, everybody, give them the transparency. But do you actually think the fans will be appreciative of this and enjoy it, or do you think the fans are kind of still hate it, still hate VAR, still hate everything?
Like no, you're never gonna make everybody happy no matter what you do. I feel like most fans, like this is what they've been asking for since VAR came out was just, explain it, guys, like put an explanation on the screen, announce it at the stadium, like how they do in the NFL, just something so that everybody knows what the call was. Because like people get a lot more pissed when it's like, okay, no goal for your team. And then you're like, okay, why? And then they don't, no explanation. They don't show it on the screen, nothing. And you're like, what, why wasn't it a fucking goal? Like, what the hell? Now, at least having that, like that explanation, I feel like it's going to make a lot of fans happy in the sense that they'll know what the call was, what the reasoning was, and everything behind that. But you're still going to have those people that are still going to be pissed off at the referee for the call. Yeah. And but I can't see them being pissed off about them using the technology. Like, I feel like it's going to be a lot, more people liking it than not liking it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But what I will say is good on fucking Serie A for, getting ahead, trying these new things out. Too bad they couldn't do it with TV deals.
For real. Honestly, well, that's the thing, because I was reading like this emerged because they're kind of renegotiating their whole deal with DAZN. So I don't know if like living in Canada, we have to watch Serie A off of Fubo, and same with the Prem actually.
Yep.
Whereas at one point it was all in DAZN or it was just on TSN or something like that.
And the thing on DAZN.
Yeah, like it was all kind of there, so it was okay. Now it's like 7 different subscriptions, but whatever.
And MLS on Apple TV.
I'm curious to know if we could actually watch it now here in Canada without using a fucking VPN or anything that. You know what I mean? Like, cause I would love to see that too. I would love to actually experience it and see like them go and explain what happened and blah blah blah. Whatever.
No, dude, it would make the game a lot better to watch and like a lot more understanding of what the fuck's going on.
Do you think that they're finally taking advantage of VAR and using it in the correct way?
Yeah. What do you mean, like with this rule?
Yeah, like by adding this rule, and now even like with the offside that they're implementing,
Joe,
like the new rule,
but that's what
kind of ties in.
Okay, the offside, okay, like that's kind of an evolution of the thing, like you said, like they've only changed that rule twice, like. This like you don't just change a rule like that, especially like that critical of a rule.
Yeah,
whenever you want, just like we'll change this year. Like you got to take time and think about it and be like, hey, does everybody agree? Like you got to get everybody on the same page and that. But with this VAR thing, like I hope you agree with me. This whole talking to the people should have been a thing.
Oh, no,
when VAR came out, like VAR technology, when they were promoting it and everything, like it was a good thing. Like we were all like, holy fuck, finally,
it's about
like
time.
They're gonna have video referee. Like they needed that. Why wouldn't they have that? Like they can talk to them. Like it's 2023 now. Like you can fucking talk to people on a microphone. Like it's not that hard. Like, hold on, sorry. I got a little bit of atch. Oh my god, that just came up. Ugh. With the VAR and the talking should have been at the beginning. I don't even need to explain anything more than that.
It is true.
They're stupid for holding it off this long and saying, you know what, it's been working. I don't see too many people pissed off. People have been pissed.
Well, we've said it from the beginning. We've ranted about it. It almost became like such a stale subject within like just ultras. Like just imagine what we talk about it here. We've only mentioned maybe I want to say like let's say out of the 50 episodes we're at or whatever we're at now. We maybe
episode 60
episode 60 today. Shit, see, we maybe mentioned 10 episodes, right? Just imagine that, but we literally do that every time we're talking. When we're just shooting the shit outside and we're shooting like talking about football and stuff like that, we always bring up VAR.
Yeah.
And the one thing we all agreed on is once VAR was introduced, that's when like you actually should be sitting down, taking a look at the rules and kind of reevaluating all of them, because now you have the video technology. Whereas before everything was in real time. I have to make a decision about a handball, about offside.
All the referee.
Yeah, like so. At that point, you understood that was human nature, that was human mistakes, whatever. Now you have this video assistant technology that makes everything so much easier. Look how well it's done for all the different leagues, how fast, whatever. Like it's to me like once that was introduced, these are just the baby steps.
Yeah,
and for me, like now I'm thinking like, what is the next step of evolution for VAR? You know what I mean? Like, what else could you do? And that's what I'm asking you as well now. What do you think the next step of evolution for VAR is? They're already taking care of the offside rule.
Yeah.
They're taking care of this whole transparency and speaking to the fans. Now, what would you think would be like the third thing they could look at? Would it be like something to do with like maybe racial abuse in the stands? Because we all know that's.
Well, I was gonna say, but I don't know if that would be too much VAR rather than like cameras in the stadium, kind of doing their job. Like you see it being done because we've talked about it in the past. Juve Stadium.
Yeah, that's
how they. Yeah, you literally type in your section, the seat number, and you can find pictures of you from that game.
Yeah,
like it can take pictures of every seat in that stadium. You're telling me you can't like have video evidence of people like being getting like racially abusing players? Like, come on, like that's a joke. But I don't think that really would have to do anything with VAR. I think maybe like VAR, because VAR they can't call back on VAR for red cards, right?
Red cards, yes, but I think it's a second yellow. They cannot.
Second yellows,
they cannot. Red cards, they can. Like if it's a straight red.
Yeah, if it's a straight red.
Yeah.
See, maybe like that might be one that they might say, okay, now they're gonna be able to look at a second yellow to see if it was maybe a harsh call or whatever, because we have seen those times that a player got a second yellow and it was
he just tugged him back.
Yeah, it was a stupid call.
Type
like
of foul
it was either a warning or not even a talking to. Like shouldn't have been a card. So maybe something like that. Oh, I mean, I know this. I know this.
I was waiting for the elevator to go to the top.
I got this. It reached over here. It got here because it happened twice. There should be a time or something that if something happens, in Juve's end, and then the game plays for 2 minutes, and then we score, and then it gets called back because that actually was a foul and a card. Like, I'm sorry, that's the dumbest thing ever.
Al still has PTSD from Milik lunging in, making a tackle, and then them scoring from that.
Yeah. No, like, and it happened like the first game of the season when VAR came out. I still remember Lichtsteiner made a tackle at half. I forgot who scored. Somebody scored. They called it back, and we were the first game with VAR. That was the first VAR game. I remember this. Got called back because of that, and I was like, man, I fucking hate VAR. It's so shit. What the hell is this shit? Then it happened again with that Milik one that you clearly remember. That's the stupidest thing. Like, they have to at least because they don't have like a rule or anything about it. They'll just look at it if they think, yeah, okay, we got to look at that. There was a foul. Give the card out. Give the goal. Give the guy a card after. What's the difference?
Yeah,
there has to be like, okay, if it happens, in the same half, then we can look back. If it happens in your own end, we can't look at it. We can't check it if there was a goal scored, like something like that. Or if it happened within 30 seconds of the actual like goal being scored, we can look at it. If it happened out of that time, we can't look at it. Like, just some sort of rule put in place that that like it makes sense there. Not that, yeah, okay, if they want to look at it or if they get called to look at it, they'll look at it. Like, it's the dumbest thing.
Yeah.
That's the one I would probably say that like they'd actually like look at, and because that I mean, it is an issue because you have to like have it should be getting called back if it is a certain type of foul, but there has to be some limitation. I think it was, okay, don't quote me on that. I think it was the Lazio game. It was Lazio or Napoli. I don't know. It was one of those teams that they scored, and then they kept playing, and then like a minute or two later, they stopped the game. They called the goal back, and it was a foul that happened before the goal, but it was like a minute before the goal.
I don't recall this.
It was like 2 years ago, I think.
Oh, okay.
It was it was not this season. It was the season before or the season before that, somewhere around there. But I remember that, and I was like, okay, like I hate both these teams, but like, come on, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
How do you like? That's like no, that should not be happening. Like,
I mean, if
that's where VAR has to like kind of clean up their rules, and because like
if Lazio was punished,
they're so new.
Good.
Okay, I know what you think,
fine.
but no, I didn't. No, for the league, for the sport, not fine. I know you hate Lazio, Joe. I hate Inter, just like you hate Lazio, but I would still hate seeing that happen to Inter because that's not fair.
For me, I think my biggest thing is, honestly and truthfully, this is going to, again, it could be a little bit biased on my end because I'm a Roma supporter and my coach is always in the spotlight, but giving a coach the right to also review the play and like kind of like a challenge in a sense.
I agree.
Because you know what I mean? Like,
that.
How many times do something happens and you see their coaches complaining and instantly the coach is sent off?
Yeah.
Even if they're not even getting mad fully, they're just kind of trying to make a statement.
They didn't even get the chance to
but I'm sure if you allow that coach to look at the review and you say to him, hey, this is what happened. Look right there to hit this part of his hand or whatever. That's why I didn't call it.
Yeah.
I'm sure maybe not every coach, they're still going to argue, especially Mourinho. He would still argue. But a lot of coaches will look and be like, okay, cool, fine, thank you. Yeah. Walk away. Because I feel like that's a huge thing too. Like they're making these decisions. Again, the transparency, they're going to explain it all and stuff like that. But like,
I don't know if you know what you just did. VAR. You got your billion dollar idea right here.
I was confused. I'm like, wait, did I say something?
You give the coaches a coach's challenge. They can challenge a play if they think that the call was wrong. If they get it wrong, they lose a sub.
I mean, yeah, I agree. There has to be some.
It's like in any other sport, you got to get punished. In other sports, you lose a timeout or whatever.
Yeah, I agree.
You lose a sub. Now they have 5 subs because you're not going to be challenging everything. Mourinho, he probably will challenge something 10 minutes in,
he wouldn't
something stupid.
Shit.
But you're going to be kind of, you know what? I'll leave that one. I'm not going to challenge that one. You're going to wait till later on in the game to actually challenge it, and you got to kind of be sure because if you're not, you're going to risk losing a sub.
Yeah.
But then they would only have to think of something that if the sub's already used and then he challenges what the thing would have to be.
Yeah. See, that's why you'd have to think of some sort of proper
clearly they
thing.
put things into the actual game and they don't figure out the rules until later on. So
I just think a lot of the time that's why there's a disconnect between the coaches and whatever. And you see the fourth official, I'll look at you and honestly say I feel bad for them the most.
Yeah.
Because they're literally smack in the middle of these two coaches. And they will start fucking reaming this fourth official out. And he's literally just like, what do you want me to do? Talk to the guy in the middle. They talk to the guy in the middle. Oh, yeah, here's a red card. See you later. Fuck off. Could you just explain? But
some form of explanation.
Yeah, just something. But we're not going to harp on VAR for too long and the evolution of VAR.
No.
It is our favorite time of the year, the transfer market.
The transfer Breakfast. You like that
I
one?
like it. You can get really high with those, huh? Crazy bastard.
Okay.
But
With the singing school.
yeah, so Serie A sucks. So we're not going to talk about them because
We got no money.
they're signing free agents. and
Milan have lost 3 players already.
Yeah, and
because they got no money to sign the players. Like, oh, are you gonna buy me or not? And they're like, hold on, we gotta figure out the whole money situation.
they got Loftus-Cheek and they think it's crazy. But regardless of that, we will talk about, again, we're not going to talk about rumors-ish, kind of. The one thing we're going to talk about, it's a rumor, but it is like it's happening. It's basically done. One of the big things is I don't even know how to say his first name, so I'm just going to say his last name. Gvardiol to Manchester City.
Yeah, that was kind of a surprise to me.
This is Pep. I can't remember the number. I don't know if it's 500 million or 600 million in total spent on defenders alone. That is absolutely insane.
That's fucked, man.
Like, yeah, the market's gone up for everybody. A defender now costs that much. I get
everybody's
it.
inflated now, man. Like, you can't look at prices now and actually take them seriously.
But man, that's kind of fucking whack.
I
think he fits it, no problem. I think he starts from the get-go.
Oh,
I think that's 100%. A great deal, but
no, it's a great signing. Like it's upgrading City, it's making them better, I think. But it's just it's a crazy amount to throw on a guy and another defender that like you've already spent so much money on, like your back line, hoping that, you know, hey, I won't have to touch it for a while. Meanwhile, you're still signing guys.
I'm trying to think like, okay, Laporte, he's probably like phased out, whatever it is. See you later.
I think say he might leave.
But like if they're playing that 3-man back, man, like I don't even know who he's gonna replace somebody. But when you still look at who the people are that he could replace, it's like, man, these guys are still like top notch. They're still top shelf players.
You replace Ruben Diaz?
Yeah. Oh, Nathan Aki's coming off a great season.
Akanji.
Like Akanji broke out with City. Like he was always good.
Rodri was playing center back for them.
You know what I mean?
Lot of the season.
The only one I could see Gvardiol technically like replacing would be somebody like Ake. But even then, like Ake has that ability to be so like he could play left back, he could play probably defensive mid, center. But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
he's very versatile.
So it's like, where does Gvardiol slot in? For 100 million, you're not gonna fucking sit that guy on the bench, man. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, but that's one thing though you could say about Pep is like he has a good understanding, especially with like new signings, guys coming in that like I'm not gonna rush you in. I'm not gonna just throw you like, I'm gonna slowly ease you into the team. You know, once you get familiar. Obviously, it's different if you're like if you're like a Haaland, like you're like a guy that they needed because they didn't have a striker. Yeah. But like you look at like Grealish, for example, his first season there, like okay, yeah, he didn't do that good when he did play. But like he wasn't playing that much. He was coming off the bench. Like he was like kind of getting familiar with everything. And then last season, he had a great season. Yeah, like this one that just passed. So I think you might see the same thing with him. Just like I feel like dude, Gvardiol's like he's fucking good,
player.
Man.
He's a good player. Minus when solid. Like Messi put him in a blender, but
that's Messi, man. Like dude, I watched a video before we started this podcast. It was Messi turning Dybala inside out when Dybala was on Juve in Champions. It was in Champions.
Dybala's a striker, though.
I know, but still, like, man, it's just it's Messi.
Players, man.
Messi, he'll put anybody in a blender, and like it doesn't matter who you are.
It's true,
so you can't really judge that. But like, I think like he'll get in a lot quicker to the team, but I don't think he'll be rushed into the team right away. Like I feel like you'll see him kind of on the bench. Everyone's gonna be like, oh look, he spends money, he's on the bench, blah blah, and then he's gonna have a like phenomenal end of the season. Everyone's gonna eat their words.
Yeah. It's like I feel like anytime Pep buys a player, like it's like we said last week,
he does. Man, he knows what he's
getting. Like it's his team. He's getting a player for a reason, whether it's now he starts or later on.
It's very rare. Like a player on the team ends up like not working or like it was a wrong signing. Like he's been pretty good with the guys he's brought in to fit his system and the way he wants to play.
Yeah.
So I trust him with this one. I was just surprised that he ended up going to City. Like I thought he was pretty much done going to Chelsea.
Well, I said that today. I was genuinely convinced like it was a done deal. That's they're doing their shopping at RB Leipzig. They got Nkunku. Now it's Gvardiol. They're getting like see you later. They're done.
It was around like the World Cup time.
Yeah. There was that rumor after he was put in the blender though. I guess everybody's like, he's maybe not that good. So maybe it fell through.
Apparently Chelsea was still in there. Then City just came in and Chelsea was like, you cannot compete.
We're not gonna give you the money. Speaking of Chelsea though. They kind of capitalized on. Okay, a lot of people are saying this guy's deadwood. I don't see him as deadwood. Mason Mount.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't have the proper position for him because of his role or his ability or whatever it is. I don't see that as deadwood at all, actually.
Yeah, I think it was a weird situation with him, man. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I agree with you. I don't think he was deadwood. I just think like something happened between him and Todd when he came in. I think maybe with the whole like contract thing, because like after that, I feel like he was just like, I'm not extending, and he was just playing hardball, and they were sitting him on the bench, like they weren't even dressing him half the time, and it was just like it went south from there.
Yeah.
Like I think that's where like it all.
I won't
sideways.
look at you and say, oh my god, he's a top 10 player, but like
Foden's still clear.
Yeah, but like to me, Mason Mount is one of those guys that it's not that he's extraordinary at one specific thing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's just very well rounded. You know, you could put him center mid, he'll be a box to box.
Yeah.
You put him as like a second striker, he's the perfect guy. You want to even put him on the wing, he's there for it.
Yeah.
You know, like he's a good worker and he puts the team first. That's why I was kind of shocked to see that. Like, okay, 65 mil, I think they got for him, or 60 mil, something like that. I was still kind of shocked that they allowed him to go to United, knowing like he's not exactly like a bum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's still a good player, and under Ten Hag, like I think he could do well given his versatility too. You know, like you could kind of put him anywhere in that mid.
Yeah.
And I'm
fits
curious,
in,
like,
man. Like it's gonna be interesting to see him on United.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But then I also like when you look at him, man, like I feel like so many like and like the top like 6 like Premier League, the big 6 and like the Premier League. I feel like they do a lot of business throughout like each other. Like they're always doing business together. Like guys are like, you know, like you think like legends or whatever. Then they go to like, I mean, like half of Chelsea, they end up when they want to like retire and shit, they go to Arsenal and vice versa. Like they just swap clubs. Like I don't know why. I was
gonna say Sterling went from Liverpool to City to Chelsea now.
To Chelsea. Like they're always just flip flopping between those kind of like all those clubs. So like I don't think it's like they don't look at it as like us like watching like Italian soccer.
Yeah.
Like somebody go like, dude, like Pjanic when he left you, like it's not like he's an Italian, like he doesn't have like that connect like a Pellegrini.
I didn't really care, but at the same time,
but it was like
wait,
that
you're
was
strengthening
like,
a direct
Roma fans go, what the fuck? Why would you do that? Like you're strengthening a direct rival. This that. Why would you go to another?
Never mind,
another Italian team.
Nangolan to Inter.
Yeah.
Oh, buddy, the whole fan base flipped their.
But it wasn't even. But that one, it wasn't that bad because you guys got Zaniolo, and then you guys realized how good like he was
first,
at the time.
At first, it was like, wait, Nangolan is a god amongst men.
At first. Until after then, it was like, okay.
Yeah,
we're not
it eased the blow, and now look where we are with Zaniolo.
I feel like in Italy, it's frowned upon more, like with the fans than in England. They're like, yeah, whatever, you're a traitor, you're a wanker, and like whatever, just fucking move on from like they don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
but it's gonna be interesting to see him, man, on United, like see how he fits in, see how because he hasn't played in a while.
I want to see where he slots in, like you know, because he's gonna do that 4-2-3-1 Ten Hag. Now, is he gonna be behind the striker as that cam? Is he gonna throw him right mid? Is he going to throw him beside Casemiro as a defensive mid? Because he put Sabitzer there, he put Eriksen there. Two guys I would say are guys he put behind a striker, you know? So it's interesting to know, like to think, where he would put Mount and like given whatever his ability.
I feel like he has like if they're going for him and I'm assuming, you know, they're going for the guys that he's asking for and he wants. I think, you know, he knows where he wants to play him, where he's going to fit him in. Now it just depends how, you know, if he can pick back up and, you know, you can see like that Mason Mount that like you saw kind of progressively getting better throughout the years with Chelsea when he was coming up. Hopefully you kind of see him, you know, grab onto that and continue that instead of just kind of plateauing now and just being like, hey, it's another English center mid or attacking midfielder. Supposed to be
the next best thing.
Yeah, now I'm just
now we got another
here.
Jesse Lingard.
Exactly, yeah. The next up and coming, he's 30 years old.
I think so far the best deal that I've seen so far is Liverpool signing Szoboszlai. I don't know if I said his name right. Don't butcher me.
I don't know how to say his name.
It's very difficult for me. It's a Hungarian name. I'm not Hungarian at all.
It's a very Liverpool signing.
Yeah,
I will
that's
say.
A good signing.
Like
man.
It's not like a name that was, you know, I feel like attracting too much,
which is kind of whack.
It's weird.
Like given how good Szoboszlai actually is,
and how good of a season he's had, and like the attention you know he should have been getting compared to like other people. It was just a Liverpool thing that like I feel like they were just watching. They knew that they wanted. They went. They got him quick before anyone kind of realized.
I will say I really do like the way Liverpool moves about their business because a lot of the time, like with these teams, like bigger teams especially, you'll see like, oh, Barcelona linked with this guy, and you'll see that drag on for 3 months.
Yeah.
But in that meantime, they'll also be linked with another 7-8 guys.
Yeah, you'll keep seeing
Liverpool. I feel like they're like, okay, we're interested. We got you.
Yeah,
that's
it's
it.
Like within 3 days.
Yeah. Like
they were linked with McAllister, and then all of a sudden you see him wearing a jersey. You're like, well, I was like, what the fuck?
I think for me, like Liverpool so far, their market has been very good. I honestly think they're giving Klopp the right tools, and it's gonna be interesting to see how they like line it all up and put it all together because like the team
especially
on paper
the season they had this year.
Yeah, right. Like the team's there on paper. Their defense is still good. Mine, I don't really rate Alexander-Arnold as a right back or Robertson,
he's a
whatever.
center mid.
But yeah, 100%. But, maybe that's what the shift is going to be this year. Throw him as a defensive mid, have McAllister and Sabalzai beside him in a 4-3-3. Maybe Sabalzai plays on the wing. I don't know.
I like what Liverpool did, man. Like, they have a good, like, especially after the season they had, like, they didn't just, sack Klopp and try a whole new, like, they kept him on. They got a good mix of, like, young and old now, like, the experience still there. I feel like Liverpool's going to be like one of those like sleeper teams next year. Like everyone, no one's really going to talk about everyone's going to talk Arsenal and City, but rightfully so. Maybe United will start throwing into only the United fans will be talking about United, but I think Liverpool's going to be one of those teams that kind of creep up and like fucking surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, I think Liverpool is definitely going to be one of those teams in the Prem to like. Well, they always are a team. They always are,
but I mean, for the most part, they're not.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like especially after like this year here. Weren't the fucking greatest.
Yeah, definitely not. But we actually have breaking news that I just seen right now.
Did that just happen now?
Yeah.
Confirmed?
We're recording this at 6:58.
Jesus Christ.
Fabrizio Romano just posted it on Instagram. So I guess we kind of broke news to ourselves. Thanks, Fabrizio Romano.
First ever, man.
Declan Rice to Arsenal. Here we go. The deal's in place. 100 mil plus 5 mil in add-ons. Oh, don't break the bank with that 5 mil, buddy. Most expensive signing ever for Arsenal, and he is now the most expensive English player ever.
Jesus. And now Zacho's row $6,000. Jesus. Fuck.
Honestly, maybe Arsenal's actually the sleeper team with the way they're moving right now, man.
Everyone's gonna consider Arsenal. That's all I was saying before. Everyone's gonna consider them. Like it's massive for them. It's just I don't like. Oh man, how is he worth like the inflation in that league?
That's the Prem tax. That is the English tax combined,
dude. If his name was Risotto, 35 mil, easy 35 mil from Sassuolo.
Well, I mean, I don't know if we could say that anymore, man. Tonali went for a pretty decent amount, and I was already talking about it with your dad today. Tonali is worth what? Like in our world, I would say Tonali is 40-50 mil.
Yeah.
With the inflation, whatever, maybe you bring it up a little bit, but
the Prem tax, man,
the Prem tax is real, man.
And I said it to Leone yesterday, man. They got 80 mil, and he wasn't even Milan's top 3 player.
It's true. That's the fucking.
You're keeping hold of your top 3, and you got stop crying, Milan fans. Like, yeah, okay, you lost an Italian.
No, still cry. I feel your pain, man. If Pellegrini ever went, okay, well then again, Pellegrini is probably our top 3 player.
80 mil.
I'd say no for Pellegrini. You'd have to sell me a whole team. Plus,
but that's why Roma doesn't go anywhere. That's like Totti, man.
We think with our heart.
It's a vicious circle of Roma.
But
have Totti.
It's kind of crazy. We just kind of broke news.
I know, man. This is the first ever, guys. We broke breaking Fab Romano news on UltrasXI.
When you see this tomorrow or whatever,
it won't be that breaking anymore. But it's a pretty crazy moment.
I'll get a message from one of my buddies, sent a picture of it. If I didn't already get another one, it's just a thing.
Yeah.
But it was pretty crazy that we're on air.
And it was on episode 60 too.
Episode 60.
We only go up from here, buddy.
It's true. Basically, like Fabrizio Romano. If you want to sponsor us,
reach out.
Come out.
Come on the show. Maybe I'll give you this Chiellini jersey. Maybe if you come out here.
I'll drink Heineken with you.
And Joe not a beer guy. Joe doesn't drink Heineken.
I don't drink beer. I do drink beer. But regardless, on that note, I think we kind of just end things off, Joe. What better way to end off an episode than breaking news for the first time? Wait, do you think that's a good deal though?
What?
Last thing, actually, sorry. I now because I'm thinking, and might as well do this in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Do you actually think that's a good deal?
What?
Put aside the money they spent on Declan Rice. Do you think Declan Rice to Arsenal is a good deal?
I think it's a good deal. I think they needed something to do. They got Jorginho last year. I'm like, Jorginho's past that time, man. Like they're now looking back, it's a joke that he got considered for Ballon d'Or that year. I don't know what the fuck he did.
We're all just on a high.
I think we're all on a high. We were all on a high. It's like that. I'm ashamed for even saying that, but it's what they needed. It's a move that it makes sense for them, and it's going to make them a better team. And especially that the fact that they got him and didn't allow City to get him to get even stronger. It's a big move for them. It's just, man, the money and the price tag on his head now. Like, is it going to have an effect on him? Is he going to be able to live up to that hype? It's so crazy for a midfielder. 100 mil, man. No, that's.
I don't know. Put aside the money. I think that's one of the part of their team they were missing. A proper defensive mid. You know,
exactly.
I don't rate Declan Rice the most. I don't think he's this world beater a lot of people make him out to be. but I do think he's solid enough.
Yeah.
And I do think he's good. And under a guy like Arteta that has like a very technical ability type of thing about his team,
Yeah, he will get a lot better.
I think he'll improve Declan Rice, and I think it's almost like a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I do think him and that defensive mid role. Now you're gonna see Odegaard even run more riot.
Oh yeah,
you're gonna see Saka do well. Like it's just a good deal.
Arsenal, like they got a good year ahead of them. Hopefully, it doesn't end like how it did last year. But
they choke it all.
Bad. But they didn't.
And you allowed the trouble to happen.
One thing I before we end things off, one thing I learned yesterday, which I mean, like this just even is like just makes it even worse. The choke, Dortmund, Bayern this year, that whole ending. Bayern, when they celebrated, because when they won the league, because Dortmund lost that game, they were celebrating with the fake trophy because the real one was at Dortmund Stadium because everyone like they assumed that they were How fucking like dude, how shit is that? You're Dortmund, you're gonna walk back and you just look at the real trophy there. You're like, oh my god, how do we just
supposed to be ours?
Like that's dude. When I found that out, I was like, man, like, that's actually insane.
Those guys are dweebs. That's the coach's fault though.
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
blame him.
They approached that game horribly.
Especially
when you had it in your hands.
They just wanted a tie, and they were content with that.
But before we get into a whole nother topic of things, guys, I think we're gonna end things off here. Thank you guys for listening. If you guys haven't, don't forget to follow us on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel and subscribe there. And like we said in the beginning, we really appreciate you guys listening every week. You know, leaving comments on our posts, and if you guys could, leave a 5 stars on our Spotify, Apple Podcasts. It just helps. It really helps us out in the end and just kind of gets our stuff more seen, you know, around the world. We're making it global like Pitbull.
Algorithms, buddy.
Yeah.
Learning a lot about algorithms. They suck ass. But yeah.
But guys, we'll see you next week. Ciao, ciao.
See you later.